Hi everyone, so I've decided to maybe start doing some studio vlogs, and I thought that for my first one I'd share with you the behind the scenes of the drawings and the initial design concept and the process behind what came to be this illustration here. This is my greenhouse illustration called Bob in Disguise, and I'm excited to share with you a little bit more about Bob soon when I show you my sketchbook. So as we go into the sketchbooks, please know that they are a little bit of an organised chaos. I don't really dedicate one sketchbook to one project. I kind of work a little bit all over the place. And I always begin with having the initial idea on a piece of paper and stuck up in my studio, on my studio wall. Yeah, so I knew that I wanted this piece to be A2, which it is, and other than the sketches in my sketchbook, once I developed them a little bit more, even though they're a bit all over the place, I put together two big pieces of paper. I know you can't see it all, I'm sorry, and they made up what I would go over with my line work, what I would trace over. So I've got my crocodile alligator with Bob, and I knew that I wanted a plant on this side, which you can see there, which did initially have a stripy vase, plant pot, but then that changed. And eventually I decided that I knew that I did want the snake wrapped around a tree with a big cat down there. So I always plan out my line work first. That's what I tend to do, and then I will fill the colour afterwards, as you can see here. So in my sketchbooks, which are underneath this is like a brain thing on the page. This is what was in my mind at the time, and I just quickly got it down because originally I was actually going to do it as a portrait piece, and it was going to be a small greenhouse with just lots of greenery and one big cat and a couple of birds. Well, this was one of the original ideas, but obviously I had that main concept up on the wall. This is where I start playing around and referring to Pinterest for help, for reference images of greenhouses, like the large ones, and botanical gardens. And it's like I said before, it's important to me that I get the structure so that I can know where the line work will be and what I want filled in and what I want to be see-through, I guess. So that's that from this sketchbook. Also some doodles of alligators on this page. I hadn't drawn an alligator before, so everything always looks pretty horrific to begin with until it gets to the final stage where I redo it about 10 billion times until I'm happy with it. So I'll move this one along. I'll just leave it there. This one, I started a new sketchbook using Pinterest for reference images on tropical and jungle leaves and plants. So here's some more experiments with colours in my sketchbook. These eventually became notelets. More mixed media studies from a class on Skillshare. And then this here was me developing my idea for what I wanted the alligator to look like. So acrylic and acrylic and watercolour and coloured pencils, oil pastels, crayons and watercolour and coloured pencils. And then I wanted to have a go at collage as well, and these eventually became this greeting card here, this birthday card, ready for which I made for my shop update. Sometimes when I'm working on a bigger project, it can spiral off into other projects, which is why sometimes it takes me a while because I have 1,000,001 ideas going at once in my brain. More crocodile and alligator studies, more greenhouse studies, and then colour concepts. Trying to decide what I wanted to do with the colours, if I wanted to have it filled in and just have the greenery poking through the roof, the glass roof and the windows, or if I wanted it to be completely glass, a glass building. And then I was pretty set on this idea. I thought that this would be the final thing, but I carried on developing the idea. What do we have on this page? Anything covered up, I've covered it up because they're ideas for future illustrations and ideas and projects. So more greenhouse studies of what I might want the door to be like. Maybe I'd want a tiger in the front instead of a leopard. Inky doodles of a tiger. That might turn into something at some point, but that's already been shown on my Instagram, so I'm not covering that up. More inky doodles to get an idea of more jungle tree studies and leaves. More alligators. This might turn into something, not sure yet. That was just a doodle. More alligators. Obviously there's a lot of blank space on these pages. I'll go back to them and fill them in at some point. And then no bananas that became notelets. Still got some pages in there to use. Here's the last sketchbook, which has some doodles in for this project, featuring my new possum sticker. I had a go at making and cutting stickers, so if you'd like one, they're in my Etsy shop. Pretty cute. So here's some more mixed media studies, and all of this I was doing behind the scenes so that I could develop my work so that it would be at a standard that I could be happy with. So although this doesn't have the line work in it, I'm still working on my colours and the different use of media, always having watercolour in there somewhere, because that's one of the main elements of my illustrations. Snakes, because I do have a snake in that greenhouse illustration, but also because of other prints that I have worked on. More reference pictures from Pinterest, more mixed media studies, colour studies, more snakes, jungle leaves and planning out the colours for the flowers. I'm sorry if you can hear the neighbours cutting the grass, by the way. More colours for snakes. I did end up going with orange and pink for my final snake for the greenhouse illustration, but it was a stripy snake instead of one with that pattern. Oh yeah, when I'm in the middle of working on something and I'm thinking of some ideas and I don't have my sketchbook right next to me, I'll just grab whatever paper is lying near me. So as an example, here is an idea that I doodled on this scrap of paper. Here as well, maybe a lion instead of a leopard. Once I've finalised an idea, which was this one here, I will then move to inking it out using my light pad, and then I will also work on the pencil outlines for everything, all the other details. Excuse me, all the other details. So here's an example of one of the pieces of paper, and then what I'll do is I'll ink them out and they will be put together on Photoshop, which is the most tedious and long process ever, but it has to be done. This is what it's like before it gets put together. So here's some of the painting. I'll also show you one of the characters which was developed a bit more. So, also, just so you know, I do actually do the characters over and over and over again. Sometimes I'll be a bit lazy, and then if there's a little bit of a splodge of ink or something that's gone wrong, I know I can fix it in Photoshop, so I don't redo it. But when it came to my leopard, this was my first one that I did, and then I thought to myself, oh, I could fix some of those issues on Photoshop and it'll be alright. But I knew that I could do better, and I wanted to do better because this whole project was about pushing myself to be a better illustrator and to be more confident with my line work and my characters. And then this is the final leopard, so you can see that comparison there. So all of that comes together in Photoshop. Ooh, sneak peek of a quail there. All of that comes together in Photoshop, and it will take me maybe at least a day or two to be able to put everything together, and then I will also do some just pages full of colour and pattern, and I will put them in to the final piece on Photoshop as well, like the background of the ground and some of the leaves in the back, which you can see were done with acrylic or gouache. And then I'll have digital elements as well, so like those leaves in the back there and the ground. Some of the snake is digital, so is some of the alligator, the shadows. So my work is very mixed media based, but I heavily rely on my ink and watercolour, as that is what kind of makes it my work. So I hope you can see. Oh wait, I didn't show you Bob, did I? Where's Bob? So saving the best till last, here are my studies of our neighbourhood blackbird, which we've called Bob. He's always quite happy, hopping around, chirping. He always looks quite snooty, so he's quite a funny character. And with everything else in this illustration being so jungle heavy and jungle based with the animals and the plants, I always like to have a little quirky element or a storytelling element to my drawings. So here's Bob, if you didn't already spot him yourselves. He is in disguise. He's trying to blend in as some kind of tropical bird. I'm not sure what type. I don't even know how the alligator and Bob got on the roof together, so I'll leave that for you to decide. And that is my greenhouse illustration and the behind the scenes of it, so I hope it was interesting in some way. You can get prints of these in my Etsy shop from sizes A4 to A2. This is the A3 version, and I'm really excited to be able to go to IKEA again to go and get some frames for all the artwork that I have that I'm ready to hang up in here. So that is the end of my first studio vlog. Yes, I hope it was interesting in some way. So thanks for watching. Bye.